about how to handle grades. Sometimes they can be a little confusing in terms of how we calculate them, but I wanted to give you a basic formula that I want you to work with, and I want you to consider some websites that will help you enter the items in your grade book. So it's a little bit of math here, but I want you to see how we can calculate that so that you can look at your grade beforehand. So you can look at that information in IntelliPath, and we're going to look at a sample student. And then you can extrapolate from that information what grade is going to be coming in to our grade book. So let's start here. We're going to look first at this sample student in IntelliPath. So for this doctoral student, that's the only one I had up right now, we are looking at 50 points for IntelliPath. If we go over here, we can see that we logged in for this student and that their discussion was 100 points. Their IntelliPath is 50 possible points. So we clicked on IntelliPath and that gave us a new window. So when we look at this, we see that the student completed it and got a yellow, and they got 83.4%. But what's that going to look like? Obviously, if we're lucky and we have a 100-point scale, all we need to know is that, like for a 100-point scale, that would be 83 points. But as you found out, not all the scales are like that. So this one is a scale of 50, and our scale is a scale of 190. So what we need to do is look at the percentage we've earned, and we're going to multiply that by the whole. So the whole is the 50 points, the 190 points, whatever our whole number looks like, and then that's going to get us our points earned. There are two ways to do this in the calculator. We can use the percentage, so we're going to try that. We're going to take this 83.4. We're going to clear our calculator. We're going to say 83.4%. So you notice that it immediately made it into a decimal. And we also can do that. But we don't have to. We can use that percent times the whole. So that's 50 whole points, right? So we're going to multiply it by 50 for this example. And that tells us that this example student earned 41.7 points. Because it's yellow, we know that they could go back and do a little more work if they wanted to. But let's go look at how we got to these numbers, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the reality. So the sample student I'm looking at has, for units 1 through 5, 190 obviously for every unit. That's how many points we have. But they've gotten varying percentages. They've got 99%, 97% for units 2 and 3, 98% for unit 4, and 93% for unit 5. Well, as you know, if you're in our course at this exact moment for finishing up Unit 4 and heading into Unit 5, you know that this hasn't come into the gradebook yet. So how do you know? How do you know what that next unit looks like? Well, we're going to get an approximation, but it's going to be super duper close. When we go into our same thing, our IntelliPath, you're going to see beside each unit a number. And so for us, obviously, we have 5 units. So there are 5 numbers that I took from our student. The actual numbers are a little bitty bit different, but as you're going to see, they're very, very similar. So each time I took that percentage and I multiplied it by 190. So in the first case, I'm going to practice here. We take the number and we move the decimal 2 places. So 97%, we take just the number, which is 97, and then I'm going to go whoop, whoop, and I'm going to move that decimal 2 places. So it's 0.97. So let's try it again using that percentage. 97%, it did it for us, times 190. So, oops. I didn't put the right number in right there. What number did we get right here? Oops, I erased it. So let's try it again. 0.97 times 190. So we got 184.3. So I'm going to type in here 184.3. So that should be here as well. As you can see, I transposed those. However, in reality, what we'll see if that student goes in to look at the grades that have been imported, the student actually got a 188.95 here for our 181. And then in that 97, the student actually got a 186, which is why I mistyped it, 0.86. So I got really close. I'm not saying it's perfect. There may be some extra elements in there that I'm not going to see. It may round up to say 83% instead of 83.4, or it may say 98 and it means 98.2. But I am going to get super duper close. As you can see, that is really, 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 really close. So right now we know that the student has 187.91 here. And all of these, again, are all really, really, really close. This one, I should have typed it in as 186.2. So we know that I'm close. And so if we put in the 176.7 right now, we would be close, but not quite right. And that would help the students see what their overall numbers are. So let's go back to that grade book. Notice that we have points possible here. Right now it's showing what has happened so far, but we can look at this chart ourselves and we can say 100, 150. So 250 points overall. Or in our case, because they have the 100 points there, so we're going to go over here and grab this. We know right now that they will have 100 points for the discussion board. We know that they have at least, remember what our number was? It was 41.7 points for IntelliPath. And so we know that right now they have 141.7 out of 150. So I can again get their grade average. Even though it's not imported yet, I can look at it. I can say, well, I know they have this many points. And I know that is the ultimate number of points. So I'm going to rewrite my formula here. Oops, I have percent times the whole, which is 150, equals, I have a different number now, right? So all I'm going to do is take 141.7, and I'm going to divide it by the total number of points. Our student has currently, the number we got is a 0.9446666. We have a lot of those. So remember that moving the decimal 2 places to the right. I'm just going to move it 2 places to the left earlier, 2 places to the right now. They have a 94% grade in this class. These are all approximate. As you know, when we looked at the real student, they had a little bit over. It could end up being a tiny bit under, but it is right there. It's right within 2 points out of all of those points, so it's not very far away. So this student can already go into our course shell and know sort of where they're going. They already have some idea. They know it's going to be close to this. The reality was a little bit different, but it's going to be close to it. So the other thing to do is to look for websites that help you calculate your grade. What you would do is you would take these points possible and you would insert those into that particular grade assessment. You will find that gradebook tools will use points or percentages. They'll use whatever you need them to use. And you can always go, of course, to the gradebook, or you can also go over here to the course overview. And when you scroll down in that course overview, it always gives you this assignment list and how many points are out there and how much of your grade they account for. So you can solve it if you need to. It is a little bit to learn, but it is just that one formula, and we can go backwards and forwards with it. And so remember, this formula switched. It became the points earned divided by the whole number of points available, and that gave us the percentage. So we can just wiggle those 3 things. That's all we need, 2 out of those 3, and we can solve it.